Hi, my name is Monsignor Chuck Kosanke, and my primary assignment is as rector of the Basilica of St. Anne's of Detroit and pastor of Most Holy Trinity Church in Corktown. I'm also the moderator of the Southwest Family of Parishes and Episcopal Vicar of the Central Region and the creator of Catholic Charities Southeast Michigan, and I continue to serve as his chairman of the board of directors. I grew up in a wonderful Catholic parish on the northeast side of Detroit, St. Raymond's. My brothers and I went to the grade school there. My parents were very involved in the parish. The priesthood was not the first career or profession that I thought of. Actually, it was the third. But in junior high, I was responsible for training the parish altar servers. And as I got more involved in the parish that way, I began to think, well, geez, I could do that, or maybe I could want to do that. But then I graduated and went to the local Catholic high school, De La Salle Collegiate, and really loved high school. I got very involved, and it was a wonderful time. But I also continued to stay involved in my home parish because I really enjoyed that. Well, it started in seventh grade, but it continued through high school thinking, well, maybe I want to be a priest. It's just a thought at that point and just wondering, if that's something, I should think about. Well, by junior in high school, the seminary presents what is called discernment weekends, which means it invites high school students to come to the seminary to experience seminary life, meet seminarians, meet the priest there by way of introduction. By the time I was a senior then, considering what am I going to do after high school graduation? And there was really two directions. One direction was to go to Western Michigan to do business, law, and accounting. The other direction was the seminary. After consulting many priests and wondering what direction to go in, I decided to first try the seminary. I'll give it a year. If it was for me, great. If not, then I knew what the other direction would be. Well, 1 year turned into 2 years to 3 years, etc. But the seminary is a wonderful place, a wonderful time to actually discern your call. And I say call because it's a vocation. It's not really a career or profession in a secular sense, but it's true at root. It's a call from God. If God is not calling me, I don't want to do it. But if this is what God wants me to do, I'm open to it. And it takes several years in the seminary discerning that. So as you're training to be a priest, you're actually reflecting upon, is this what God is calling me to do? And there are times where you do have doubts. There is. And those doubts really test you and really challenge you. Is this what God is calling you to do? Are you ready to say yes at a certain point? So that's a good thing. But I did decide at the end that that's what God was calling me to do. I certainly, just like a married couple, when they say yes to get married, they don't know what the next 25 or 50 years is going to be like. So in some ways, it is a decision in faith. But I said yes to becoming a priest, not knowing, what the next 25 or 50 years would be for me. So I'm now 37 years as a priest, very happy and hope for many more years to come. The role of a priest is asked to do many different things, and each one could be a full-time job. A priest is expected to be, a good listener, counselor. A priest is expected to be a good administrator. A priest is expected to be a good teacher. A priest is expected to be able to respond to people in need. So there's quite a variety in terms of what a priest does. My favorite role as a priest really is bringing people to Christ. And there are joyful times when that happens, like baptisms and first communions and confirmations, weddings. There's also sad moments, like people who need to be anointed because they're sick in some way, or you're consoling the family because they lost a loved one. So both in those joys and those sorrows, my favorite thing to do is bring the light of Christ into people's lives. If I wanted to be, a businessman, I could do that in another way. If I wanted to be a counselor or a teacher, I could do that another way. But as a priest, what I enjoy being a priest is being that connector to connect people to the light of Christ. My advice for any young man thinking about being a priest is, first of all, to have an open mind, but also an open heart, because the heart is going to really confirm for you, is this what God wants you to do? Are you passionate about not just helping people, because there's many ways of helping people, but are you passionate about bringing people to God? I've been a rector of a seminary, worked in another seminary, so have spent half my priesthood in seminary work, actually, and the other half of my priesthood in parish work. And between the two, discernment is something that takes some time, takes patience, it takes openness, it takes listening to your mentors. But please be assured that the seminary really is there to help you in your discernment. Are you going to have doubts? Yes, you are. But there's seminary and the faculty and formation team and the various are there to help you, to see if God is calling you to. Just because you entered a seminary doesn't mean you're going to be a priest. It's really indicating that you're open to exploring if this is what God's calling you to do. But yes, at a certain point when your seminary training and formation is done, you have to give a final answer. But by the time that comes, you have really received in prayer and with the assistance of others, those assurances or confirmations that this is what God wants you to do. The priest is a spiritual leader, is a shepherd of the parish. But the priest is more like a conductor of an orchestra, right? I mean, the priest cannot do everything. And so the priest really relies upon the community, God's people, to share in the ministry of the parish. So by not only supporting the priest, but helping the priest in his care of the community is really not only necessary, but very helpful and wonderful to any parish pastor. Something I'd like people to know about priest or priesthood that you may not know. The first thing that actually is fairly obvious is that priests are human. Or even to realize that your pastor, who loves you very much and works very hard, also wants to experience the love and appreciation and support of his people. The parish oftentimes is his family. And it's not just a job. It really is being, as a vocation, it's ministering to God's family. And so you may know a lot of things that a priest does, and sometimes you know when a priest makes mistakes, but always remember that he's been called by God to do a really a challenging role, especially today. And he could use sometimes to know of your appreciation, know of your love and support of him.